you doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We are here. It is Tuesday. It is a great Tuesday in the great state of Wisconsin here. And hey, got a little bit of rain yesterday. I mean, it poured for a little while there. Then we had some sleet coming down. So ridiculous weather right now in the state of Wisconsin. But hey, that only leads to us staying inside and watching more sports, right? And listening to more sports. So it's a fantastic time of year. It's fantastic. No snow. Can't complain too much. So it's been good so far here. But with that, lots I wanted to get into today. And lots I wanted to get into on the national scale or national stage today here. And first off, I wanted to look at Jason Kelce did retire yesterday from the NFL. And if you haven't seen his speech, I would grab a box of tissues if you're going to go watch that, because it definitely was very emotional. Jason Kelce giving us a speech there, and sucks to see his career end. I mean, he's going out on his own terms, so it's not like it's bad, but also, I mean, you're talking about a guy who played 13 seasons, 1 Super Bowl, 7-time Pro Bowl selection, and 6-time first-team All-Pro, Jason Kelce. An impressive career, and, well, football was better with Jason Kelce. It was better with the Kelce brothers having that potential to go at it every year, and it was definitely worth watching. So, with that, I mean, hats off to a fantastic career there to Jason Kelce. Also, in national news yesterday, on the basketball front, former Badger Liam Ford was signed by the Wisconsin Milwaukee Herd. So he will be with the Bucks G League team now. So definitely interesting there that to see Liam Ford back in Wisconsin there. Don't know, I mean, you never know if you're ever going to see him on the NBA roster, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool all the way around there. But also in other former Badger news, Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson was released as of yesterday there. Just over 2 seasons with the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson had nothing but good things to say about the Broncos moving forward here. Sean Payton and George Patton had nothing but good things to say about Russell Wilson. We know what Sean Payton says behind the scenes, but it's different than what he says out in front of the cameras. But with these two sides parting here, looks like Denver will actually eat about $39 million, but they will avoid $37 million guaranteed here for the 2025 season. That would have actually taken effect this month here. So they got out of that deal there. But the Broncos will take on $85 million in total dead cap over the next 2 years by releasing Russell Wilson there. That's actually going to be the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. So Broncos, you got to make history somehow, right? Sign Russell Wilson to a massive deal, trade away the farm, and then watch it all go down the toilet, bring in Sean Payton, and watch this team just explode. I mean, just implode right there. Nothing better. I don't like Sean Payton. Never have. Never will. Not a fan of Sean Payton. But, I mean, so far, nobody's really jumping at Russell Wilson. I don't know if Russell Wilson will get another starting job. I believe there's a team out there who will take a shot on Russell Wilson. I don't know if it's going to be in the starting role, but Russell Wilson will get another job. It's definitely not going to be for the money that he played for with the Denver Broncos there. But getting out of the Broncos, out of the national sports scene, I want to get back into Wisconsin sports here. And first, I want to get into the Packers, because Packers, I asked the question there on the Facebook page yesterday about Braylon Allen and the Packers possibly getting Braylon Allen here in the upcoming draft. And looking at it, you can look at it multiple ways. There's multiple ways you can look at this Braylon Allen to Green Bay situation. And the first one, and this is where a lot of people like to lean, is that you look at this guy and he's very injury prone. And this is true. Braylon Allen's had a lot of injury problems over his years with the Badgers. Okay, injury prone. That's an automatic flaw on a guy. Secondly, his turnover problem. This last year, it seemed like it was in the biggest spots, too. Braylon Allen would fumble the football. Badgers finally get the ball moving. Braylon Allen fumble. So you have the turnover problems. Now let's look at the pros of bringing in a guy like Braylon Allen. I believe he's a very smart player. The man's built like a truck. And when you watch this guy, he benefits you not only in the run game, but he also benefits you in the pass game. And I think that's something the Packers could very well utilize here moving forward, because he could be a guy, he could be your third down back where he could be that blocker in the backfield for Love looking for a dump down. Now, Aaron Jones is that guy for Green Bay. I'm not going to say that you're just going to take the job away from Aaron Jones completely. That's still Aaron Jones's gig at the end of the day. But it takes a lot of the pressure off of Aaron Jones when you have a guy like, let's just say, Braylon Allen coming in, who has the talent to be able to do those things for you. He's not an explosive back. That's another knock on Braylon Allen. He's not as explosive as what, let's just say, Aaron Jones is right now. That is, I mean, it will be a killer. But if you brought back, let's just say you brought back A.J. Dillon. What does A.J. Dillon give you that Braylon Allen doesn't, besides the experience, besides the, I mean, injury? I mean, A.J. Dillon, last year got injured as late in that season, but it was a hand injury. It wasn't anything crazy, but he also lacks that explosive edge, and he's a bruiser of a back. So it'd be no different bringing in Braylon Allen than A.J. Dillon, just less experience is basically all it is. So at the end of the day, what do the Packers do? Do you bring in Braylon Allen? Do you take that chance? I think, you could. I really do. I'm not touching Braylon Allen until maybe the 4th round if I'm Green Bay. 3rd round is, I believe, still a stretch. But you could double dip in the running back room. You know you're going to have Aaron Jones for this season here. You never know after that with Green Bay what their plan is going to be or what Aaron Jones's plans are going to be. Maybe you double dip. Maybe you say grab a guy like Will Shipley or Blake Corum, and then you also grab Braylon Allen. Maybe you have that opportunity. And if you do, you bring in 2 possible future backs into Green Bay. I don't think that's a bad idea. I really don't. And you finally get off that schneid of every single season we decide that we have to trade away or we have to avoid drafting Badger guys. I mean, we've seen some Badger guys who do fantastic things in the NFL here. J.J. Watt we couldn't have got. We passed up on T.J. We also, Leo Chanel doing great things with the Kansas City Chiefs. We passed up on Leo Chanel. Lots of Badgers that don't get drafted here to the state of Wisconsin. So maybe the Badgers flip script this time around. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what this Packers team does come the NFL draft, addressing the skill position rooms, because we also have seen where Brian Gutekunst has said he's not very concerned. If he wants to draft a wide receiver, he's going to go get him a draft a wide receiver. And I always do believe you never have enough skill position guys because injuries do happen. Christian Watson, we have no idea if Christian Watson's ever going to play a full season, be ready to go for a full year. We don't know that. Hopefully with a new strength and conditioning coach, it fixes up his hamstrings and he's all ready to rock and roll. But, you're banking on it. So, you do have a lot of pieces in that wide receiver room as of right now, but you can never have enough. And I wouldn't be opposed if the Packers found a guy, a wide receiver, later in this draft and said, yeah, I think this could be our piece that we need that could help us off of the bench there. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it there. There's going to be a lot of good receivers in this draft. A lot of the fantastic ones are going to go early, like Marvin Harrison, Odunze, Brian Thomas, a couple of the names that are rattling off the top of my head there, but there's a lot more. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Packers add to the skill position room on the offensive side of the football. I just don't think that's the top priority. 1st, 2nd round, maybe even into the 3rd. I'm looking at the secondary I'm looking at possibly in the linebacker room. Maybe in the linebacker room, you're looking there somewhere in that front seven for Green Bay. I think you could benefit from adding in there. But that secondary is a big one for me. And then on the offensive line, that's where the Packers really need to address in this upcoming draft. And I think they do it early in this one. It all depends. What do the Packers do? Do they bring John Runyon back? Maybe a guy like Josh Nijman? We don't know with David Bakhtiari what's going to ever happen with David Bakhtiari. So do we see the Packers get rid of Bakhtiari here and then lean towards drafting somebody? I really do think you do. I am not bringing Bach back. I got to be honest with you. No way in any way, shape, or form am I bringing Bakhtiari back to this team. He is injury prone. You can't count on him to be out there. I've had enough of it. I mean, you like David Bakhtiari. If you don't like him, you don't like him. But end of the day, you got to do what's best for your football team. And the having this guy's ability to actually be out there for you, not there with David Bakhtiari. So I would look to move on from Bach and find a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of offensive tackles in this upcoming draft here. This next draft here is loaded up with offensive tackle prospects. A lot of secondary guys like DeJean or Kool-Aid McKinstry. You're going to have those possibilities there for secondary upgrades. There's going to be some Badger guys in there that the Packers could grab late in the draft there. Going to be interesting to see if the Packers change it up and they grab a guy from Wisconsin. We haven't seen it in a while. More guys go to the Steelers. That's a big place for Badger guys, is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So going to be interesting to see what this Green Bay Packers team does in this upcoming draft here. But with that, I want to get to a couple of our sponsors here before we move on. First, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, Sports Scene in Marshfield here, right located in the Marshfield Mall. Stop in there and see Al at Sports Scene. They have everything you need there, from sports cards to memorabilia. They have sports jerseys, anything from Mahomes to baseball there. They have it all. Model cars. There isn't much for the hobby enthusiast that you can't find at Sports Scene there. I personally go there a lot. Love the selection there at Sports Scene. So check it out there in the Marshfield Mall. Sports Scene in Marshfield. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Moving out of the NFL, I want to get into the MLB now and jumping into this Brewer team. Brewers will be taking on the Giants coming up today here. That'll be a 2:05 start there for the Brewers going up against the San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb will get the ball for the Giants in this one. Jacob Junis will get the ball for the Brewers. I mean, I would expect, coming off of an off day for this Brewers team, I expect to see some of the main starters in the lineup here, I guess you could call them there. I expect to see a couple of them guys out there like Yelich, maybe Hoskins and Contreras. Adames has been playing a lot as of late, so, I mean, wouldn't surprise me to see Willie out there in that starting spot. But with that, I wanted to get to my Brewer question of the day, and I asked this around on the Facebook page. I wanted to see what people were thinking Brewer-wise heading into this upcoming season here, because we're getting closer and closer to opening day. Every day, right? Every day we're getting closer and closer here. The days are counting down. And I asked people out there, I said, do you guys have any concerns, worries with this Brewer team heading into this 2024 season? And I also said, I asked a simple question. I said, would you say that this year is a rebuild year for this team, or do you think they have the pieces to make a run? So lots of answers out there. I'm going to read a couple here, and then I'm going to give what I think about this Brewers team. So first answer I got here is, one guy said, I don't get it. We really only lost one pitcher who had 10 wins. We upgraded at first base, and the rest of the team is the same with all those young guys having a year under their belt. I feel as good as or better than a year ago. I agree with that. I mean, I 110% agree with that. The only thing I got to say is that you did also have Brandon Woodruff last season, too, there. I mean, he got hurt. Yes, Brandon Woodruff was out for an extended period of time. Early on, he was with there. But losing Corbin Burnes is a big loss to this Brewer team. And it's going to be amplified because right now Freddie moves up in the rotation. Wade Miley is 50-50 to be out there for opening week of baseball there for the Brewers. So now the question marks in the starting rotation are getting bigger and bigger. Are we going to see rookies? Are you going to put a guy like Jacob Mizorowski out there or a guy like Robert Gasser? That's my big question there, is that, yes, we only lost one guy in that starting rotation, but at the same time, you also lost a big piece in that starting rotation. Brandon Woodruff being out, yeah, he was out for an extended period last year, but you also, I mean, you did only lose, I will give it, you did only lose one pitcher, but a big piece. And that's where I really question this Brewers starting rotation right now, is because now you're down to basically Freddie and Colin Ray as of right now here from guys from last year, because Wade Miley is on the shelf as of right now. And I mean, Aaron Ashby, we don't know. The book is still unwritten on what Aaron Ashby is going to, or what he can and can't do at the big league level. So definitely fantastic answer right there, though. I mean, I agree. This offense for the Brewers, I think they could be better than what they were last year. I think they could be way better than they were last year. Another answer I got, starting pitching is a major concern, obviously. I do think we may score more runs, hopefully. Also, I think our defense will be just as good or even better than last year. I have to think positive and hope that they stay in contention all year. I agree. Starting pitching is the big thing, like I was just talking about there before. Starting pitching is going to be the big thing to watch out for there. I do agree, though. I think this offense is going to have that ability to score more runs than they did last year here for this team. So I think that may help. It's just going to be a matter, can this starting rotation keep the game relatively lower, that this offense, I mean, this offense can put up 5 runs a night, but if starting rotation blows up every night, what's going to be the difference there? So I agree 100% there that this offense will be a lot better moving into this next year here. Couple other ones here. One guy came out, he said it's going to be a reload year. World Series is an easy no, but they could win division and are set for the future. I agree. I agree with that 100%. The offense for this Brewers team, you have the young studs out there, some of the second-year guys, and then Jackson Churro. I don't know if Jackson Churro is going to start at the big league level right away, but you're going to have a lot of young pieces moving in and out. You're going to have a lot of the second-year guys getting everyday time now. So I agree with that. They are set up for the future there, though. And World Series, that's going to be a big no unless if they make a huge splash here in free agency yet. But it's still, I mean, easy no right there. But the division right now, it's not loaded. I'm going to say that. It's not loaded. So it doesn't really, I'm not really worried about the division as much for this Brewers team, just because you don't know with the Cardinals. I mean, that also worries me, though, is because the Cardinals are that sneaky team, right? They're that sneaky team that always comes up behind you there. So the Cardinals are always a threat. The Reds are young yet. I don't know if the Reds are fully there. I think they're a year or two out yet. They have to get the pitching going first. The Cubbies, they got Craig Counsell now. They got Cody Bellinger back, but, I mean, pitching-wise, not crazy. They got Gibson. Cool. I mean, I'm not too worried about the Cubs and the Pirates or the bottom feeders. So this definitely could be a division the Brewers could struggle in and yet win the division there. Another guy, he gave his straight-up prediction there, 87 and 75 with the wild card. Starting pitching is the concern. Hopefully our team batting average can improve and allows us to score more than last year. 100% agree with you there. Another guy came out and said turning the keys over to center field over to a 20-year-old that's got limited experience at AAA and is not finding his stride yet in spring training. Yeah, That's why I don't believe, honestly, that Jackson Churro will start the year at the big league level. I think he might start in AAA and then work his way up to the big league level at some point. That's a good part about his contract. They avoid the service time. You can bring him back and forth. You still got him locked up for years to come. So definitely going to be interesting to see what they do with Jackson Churro. Another guy came out and he said mostly a retool year rather than a full rebuild. But given the predicted mediocrity of the NL Central, they should compete for the division. I see a choppy first half followed by a better second half and an upside of 88 to 90 wins. The floor is probably 75 to 80. I agree with that. I would say my upper in wins would be around that 85 to 90 mark. And I think my floor would probably be in that 80 to 75. I think they will stay relatively in that area, 75 to 80, 75 to 85 wins. I really do think this Brewers team can muster out. I think the loss of Corbin Burnes will lose you some games. I don't think it's the end of the world that they lost Corbin Burnes. I just think with the relatively youthful pitching that the Brewers have now, especially, we don't know what this not Packers. We got out of the Packers. What this Brewer team is going to lean towards here in the starting rotation. It's going to be interesting. I really do think they might lose out on some games simply because of the lack of veteran presence in that starting role. I mean, they got some promising prospects coming up there in the starting roles, and I think those guys could do very well in this upcoming season. I'm not going to say they won't, but I just, it'll be tough. It'll definitely be tough there. So just looking at one more here, and another guy said he's not worried at all. A young team that will experience growing pains as a necessary part of the process. The future looks bright. I agree. I 110% agree with that one there. This team is young. They're going to experience growing pains throughout the year. And at the end of the day, I think they're just going to get better because of it. I really do think they'll struggle right off the bat. I think it's going to take a little bit for the Brewers to figure out, hey, who's going to be in our starting rotation down the stretch. And then once they figure that piece out, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine going into that second half. I don't think it's time to trade away the farm. I don't think it's time to trade away everybody. I think they will compete for the division throughout this year. So that is about all I have for this Brewers topic. I mean, concerns for me, I would honestly say my biggest concern is the starting rotation. Where do the pieces fit in? Does Jacob Mizorowski get in that starting spot? Is it a guy like DL Hall? What does Hall bring you in that starting rotation? Question mark is Ashby. Is Ashby going to be ready to go? Is his command going to be on? I'm not sure. Ashby right now in his couple outings so far, not terrible, but nothing promising so far here. Wade Miley, question mark as of right now. What is going to be Wade Miley's availability, not just at the start of the year, but throughout this season? And then I look at a couple of other guys there with starter potential. I mean, Jacob Junis. Is Jacob Junis have that potential to possibly get in the Brewers starting rotation? Yes, I really do think so. So what do the Brewers do? Do they splash in free agency? Maybe. I mean, Blake Snell's probably out of the realm, but Jordan Montgomery, I'm not sure what he's going to be asking. I know the Cubs are in on Montgomery. They're a dark horse for him right now. So I don't know if you win the Montgomery sweepstakes, but there's still a lot of free agent starting pitchers out there. I mean, Zach Greinke is still out there in the starting as a starting pitcher right now. You have guys like Michael Lorenzen still out there. So there's veteran pieces that this Brewer team could add in the starting role that won't break the bank. They might not be fantastic, but you can sign them at a low price, but could have a high upside to be a solid 4 or 5 in your rotation. Or, I mean, barring anything crazy, even better than that. So, I mean, just interesting stuff right now with the Brewers. It's going to be interesting to see how this starting rotation figures itself out here as the year goes on here. But like I said, Brewers in action today against the Giants, 2:05 start there. for that one. I wouldn't say that it's on Bally or anything like that. We all know that the Brewers, for some reason, Bally doesn't put them on. So this game will be on ESPN Radio and MLB.com. That's about it for this one. So Brewers, once again, will not be on Bally Sports. We won't be able to watch the Brewers, but we can keep track of it on MLB at Bat because it's just the same, right? But with that, out of the Brewers, get to a couple of our sponsors quick before we move on. First off, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. If you've been injured lately, whether at work or if it was on the field, the court, wherever it was, stop in there and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He'll get you right. He'll get you back out on the court, back on the field, back to work, whatever it is. He'll get you back there. So Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. Don't trust anyone else to get you better there. But with that, college basketball talk now. I know. We're all loving college basketball this time of year. We're getting closer and closer to March Madness here. And, well, the madness has started because it's driving me mad thinking about Wisconsin sports right now. So, right away, I just wanted to mention Tyler Kolek for Marquette is now expected to be out at least 2 games here, the next 2 games at least, with an oblique injury here for Marquette. He's going to be reevaluated before next week's Big East tournament. Might miss the Big East tournament there. We don't know how long this injury is going to be extended here, but that's a big loss. That is a big loss because it seems with Tyler Kolek's out there, it just makes this team flow a little bit better. And without Tyler Kolek, it's going to rely a lot heavily on what Cam Jones can do, what Mitchell can do for this team. They're going to get Iguodaro back, what he provides there in post presence for this team. It's definitely going to be an all hands on deck experience for Marquette, especially if a guy like Tyler Kolek can't go here in the Big East tournament. I saw a post today. A guy out there said that Marquette, if they keep dropping games, will not make the tournament. They're at a disadvantage to get into the tournament. I had to laugh because I was like, what the heck is going on right now? Marquette's going to get into the tournament, no doubt. They're going to be in the tournament. I don't know, if they're going to be able to maintain the 2 seed, but I think the lowest they drop is a 3. Even if they lose these last 2 games, I think the lowest they drop is a 3 seed. And then going into the Big East tournament, you played Creighton without Tyler Kolek and Iguodaro. You get Iguodaro back. I mean, the Big East tournament, you probably won't beat the likes of UConn. You might not be able to beat Creighton, but I think you should have a pretty good shot at beating everybody else in the Big East tournament there, even without Tyler Kolek. So, I mean, I'm not worried if you're a Marquette fan, like he was apparently. There's no worry you're going to drop out of the tournament. I'm telling you right now that the Badgers are going to make the tournament, and they suck as of late here. So Marquette's going to make the tournament. I don't know if they're going to drop down to that 3 line yet. It's going to be barring what this team can do without Tyler Kolek, and I think this is a great test, right? You got to see what your team's made of. You're going to run into games where you're going to lose your star player for certain portions of that game. And how does your team respond to that, and who steps up in those situations? I think that's something that we're going to be able to watch here in the upcoming games for Marquette is how does this team respond to losing their starting point guard there for these next couple games here. So definitely bad news coming out of Marquette there, but hopefully all good with Tyler Kolek, and he rests up and is ready to go here for the Big East tournament and then for the big dance, because Marquette's a dangerous team when they have all hands on deck. So getting out of Marquette here, I want to get into the Badgers. And I want to look at this Badger team and just ask the simple question today. It's a simple question, I guess you could say. I want to ask the question of who is to blame? You know, there's people out there who want to blame Greg Gard. There's people out there who are calling players bad and that these players are just not good. So, end of the day, who do you blame on this team? And I hate blaming players to begin with. I think it's kind of low. I don't blame players very much unless if they blatantly lose a game for you. So I look at this and I say, okay, you can look at this two ways here. You can say, we want to blame Steven Crowell. Okay, you can blame Steven Crowell. This season has been amplified with him and how soft he has been playing. Steven Crowell, that's a guy you can blame. Chucky Hepburn and his struggles. You can blame Chucky Hepburn. I am right there with you if you want to blame Chuck. If you want to give me an argument for AJ Storr, give me an argument for AJ Storr. I get it. But when I look at this team, I see a lack of adjustment. I see a lack of leadership. I see the little things that the Badgers lack. I don't amplify it as high as the Badgers do everything bad, right? Because there are moments in games where this Badger team, even in this 2-7 stretch, have done good things. The only game that they've been blown out in was against Rutgers. Now, I'm not saying that was the only time that was a bad loss, because Michigan was a bad loss. I believe Indiana was a bad loss. Iowa, that's a game you should have won. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? But they lost that game. So I'm not saying that you can just completely wash away what those other games were, but the Badgers have played well in stretches here. What's the difference? What is killing this Badger team? And I look on the interior. The interior defense for the Badgers, they're actually one of the worst teams in the Big Ten in blocks per game right now. That has a lot to do with Badgers don't really have a physical big man. You look at Zach Edey, he actually has, I believe, like 20 more blocks than the Badgers. I believe so. I mean, just ridiculous. Tyler Wall actually leads the Badgers in blocks this year. And if you look at it from a Tyler Wall perspective, Tyler Wall is playing very well on the defensive end for this Badger team. But if you look at it in the simple fact of, hey, my big guy, Steven Crowell, is playing soft, what do we do? There isn't much. The thing with the Badgers is there isn't much you can do at this point, right? The book is open on the Badgers this year. At this point in the year, there isn't a lot you can fix. At this point, you are who you are, right? And this Badger team, throughout this season, the offense has played a lot better. The defense has struggled mightily. And what caused that? I don't know, but you look at their interior defense and how many points teams are scoring on them on straight line drives or getting into the post and then just dig downs. That's a killer. You add into that the perimeter defense, closing out on guys, being able to control the perimeter here for the Badgers. They struggle on the perimeter. So when you have both things failing you, perimeter and interior defense, teams are just going to, they eat you alive. And they are eating this Badger team alive all around. That's the big thing. I mean, you look at Nebraska. Yeah, Wilcher went off. And Wilcher had a fantastic game there for the Badgers, or for Nebraska in that game against the Badgers. But, the perimeter defense for the Badgers, I think a lot of the defensive struggles, and that leads me back to my main point here. Who do you dig this on? Go back to coaching. You can't just blame Greg Gard. A lot of this coaching is a lot of the assistants too are working with Greg Gard. Greg Gard's your final guy, right? But defensively, there's no adjustments by this Badger team. Teams make adjustments against Wisconsin. That's what changes this game. That's what changed for the Badgers here. They got off to that torrid start in the first half of the year, and then all of a sudden, second half of Nebraska, they went cold. Nebraska got hot, And it was just a ridiculous game then. The Badgers, ended up losing that ball game there. From then on, confidence gone. AJ Storr has changed from the guy we saw when he first stepped on the court in Madison. And there's two ways I look at that. I say, okay, AJ Storr with this Badger team, at one point, he was taking a lot of bad shots. And that was 100% correct because he was taking a lot of bad shots. But now I look at it and I say AJ Storr hesitates a lot before he actually makes a move. He doesn't have that, when you call it a killer instinct, right? Start of the year, AJ Storr had this killer instinct to him. He was taking the ball to the rack and he was going to, and that's just how it was going to be, right? Now it's like he second guesses himself. He thinks about it too much because he knows if this is a bad shot, I'm getting pulled. I don't have that breathability. I don't have that ability to stay out on the court like some of these other guys who take bad shots. AJ Storr right away gone. Connor Essegian, I don't know what happened. This guy went from a guy last year, all the freshman team, fantastic, all-around player. Defense was a problem, but offensively, this guy could get you buckets. This year, Connor Essegian, a non-factor. And to put it in perspective, this season for Wisconsin, the bench is a non-factor for the Badgers. We went into this year and we said to ourselves, man, this Badger team, they're as deep as ever. This team is going to, they're going to be able to go 5, 6, 7 guys into the lineup there. They're going to be able to go maybe 4 deep on that bench there. Where did that go? Where did the bench play for Wisconsin? Where did it disappear to? You would have thought moving a guy like Connor Essegian onto the bench with how he can shoot the basketball would have made the bench for Wisconsin just that much better. And yet, they got worse. Somehow this bench has gotten worse. They're actually average points per game in 29 games. Their bench is averaging 16 points a game. I can tell you where a lot of those points come from. First off, I look at a guy like John Blackwell, and then Blackwell gives you about 10, so then you have Connor Essegian, Nolan Winter, and sometimes Gilmore adding in the rest of those pieces there. That's a killer. That's a killer for this team. Now, you've been without Kamari McGee. Defensively, Kamari McGee adds an edge to this Badger team, something that they've been missing. And I will give that kind of, the free pass, right? The pass of saying, if we had Kamari McGee, defensively, we'd be sitting a lot better right now. Okay, yeah. But you have guys that you've recruited, guys that we heard about going into this year, like, let's just say, Isaac Lindsley, Connor Essegian, guys like that who maybe they aren't up to snuff on the defensive side, but offensively, those guys can still get you buckets. And we haven't seen them get extended minutes here and there, like Marcus Silvers, here and there. If Marcus Silvers is going to be a part of this rotation, make him a part of the rotation. The lack of use of the bench for the Badgers, I think, has been bad this year. I really do. And I would love to, I'd love to hear the reasoning of why Greg Gard avoids the bench so much. And he goes such heavy minutes on the starters in these games. Chucky Hepburn, a big one there. Steven Crowell's been in foul trouble as of late, so I can't really say much about Crowell, but Tyler Wall, you wonder why guys can't defend late in the games here. The usage of them. You want to keep guys fresh in these games, in defensive battles, when you need the defense to step up. These guys aren't fresh. They're playing 30 minutes a night. They're playing the whole game out there, basically. And I don't know. Bench usage for the Badgers is definitely something that they have to address here in the upcoming weeks, because I got to see a rotation a consistent rotation for this Badger team. And then it's going to be like, okay, what is this what's been missing all year, or was it something else? So with that, that's about all I got. Just talking about Badger there. What I've been thinking about here with this Badger team. We watched that loss to Illinois, and just some of the things that I think they have to key in on here to hopefully right the ship here moving forward. But with that, I want to stay with college basketball, get into bracketology quick. And the Badgers, currently, according to Joe Lunardi, are sitting on that 6th line right now. They would be in the West region, according to Joe, in there with Arizona and Iowa State as that 2 seed. Right now is that 6 seed. Alabama is the 3 seed in there, and I do not like a matchup with Alabama. If they were to even get out of the first round against an 11 seed there, I would not like a matchup against Alabama if I was Wisconsin. I think guard-wise, they do not match up well with Alabama. Guard-wise, or lengthwise, this Alabama team's a scary team. So Badgers currently sitting on that 6th line. I mean, 2 more losses and an early exit from the Big Ten tourney. This Badger team's going to make the NCAA tournament. The early season resume for Wisconsin will keep them into the big dance. But I mean, I could see them dropping as low as a 10. I could even see him getting an 11. I'm going to be honest with you. I could see him sitting at 11. You lose that Rutgers game, that's a bad loss again. Then you have Purdue coming up after that. That would also be another bad loss. You could drop down into that Big Ten tourney into a really bad seed, end up playing on that second day. And then you get on that second day, you could lose another bad matchup that puts you in a spot heading into the big dance that puts you in that 10 line or lower. I don't know if you drop any lower than an 11, maybe 12. That would be worst case. But I really do think this Badger team will avenge that loss to Rutgers, bounce back. I don't know, but the game at Purdue is going to be, I'm going to watch it, but that's about it. But other than that, bracketology right now has Wisconsin pinned up there as a 6 seed right now. And right now, I don't know if they are a 6 seed, in my opinion. I'd be looking more on the 7 line right now. 7 line, maybe 8. But, I mean, if that's how they want to shake it, that's how they want to shake it. I won't argue with them on that one there. But just wanted to mention here some Horizon League action tipping off here that will be starting coming up tonight, I believe. Yes, tonight. It will be Milwaukee's men's team will be taking on Detroit Mercy. That should be an easy game for Milwaukee. Detroit Mercy's got 1 win on this entire season. I believe they beat IUPUI. Other than that, I mean, this is a bad team. So Milwaukee should be able to win that game there. Green Bay will await in the quarterfinals there. They are waiting for a matchup on Thursday in that one. So big things tipping off here. We're getting into conference tournament time. It's an exciting time of year here. But with that, that's about all I got for today. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.